do it. All right. Get all my little thingies ready. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how many drop frames I have. We'll see if we have any program crashes. We'll just do it all live. Every time I restart my computer, all the little peripherals take a turn saying, I'm the most important. All you other guys take a back seat, and I have to reshuffle what goes where. And it's annoying. All right, let's see here. Kind of did a good amount on this. These moblins. Maybe I can tighten up some of this top row, like the background here. That might be boring, but no one's in chat yet. And if people are in chat, then I'll come back and I'll do some moblin stuff. That'll be more interesting to see. But meanwhile, I have a bunch of boring stuff over here that I should get to. And there are some issues, I think, still with this composition. Kind of needs some cropped out, half-buried skulls or something. Need something like this. Haha. Hey, welcome. Were you one of the raiders in the earlier stream? In any case, welcome. Yeah, there's just something about this composition that needed a little bit of variation. Welcome back. Well, I was just talking about how I might do something boring, since no one was in the chat yet, but were you interested in seeing more of the art? Because I've got a whole other section of stuff that I could pull up. Let's see here. It's in like an earlier version. Oh, that's all in flux. Maybe another day. But the beyond these 12 that I'm working on here, there's another 12 that are basically similarly finished that are also very cool. But one of the challenges I'm trying to deal with is how to break up the work so that I don't get too bogged down on making any one drawing perfect. Okay, well, I hope this is educational, informative, and entertaining for all those reasons. I'm doing this in part because of, well, in a repudiation of the influx of AI art, which is, you know, and I could, if I had a gun to my head, you know, be forced to admit there's some practical application for it, but there's so much abhorrent in the administration of it that, and in the way that it's sort of being shoehorned into my industry. I'll go off on a rant if I'm not careful. But there's been many discussions in my artist circles where the question of like, well, what do we do to try to prevent ourselves from, like, they'll try to replace us with these machines if they can. And we're all sort of scratching our heads wondering what to do about it. And while we don't have a perfect solution, one of the better ideas so far seems to be, listen, we've always been, like, I'm a storyboard artist, yes. It's a horrible thing. I'm a storyboard artist, which is tangentially related to, like, design and concept art. Now, those fields, like character design and concept art, are just really being... like, I see that replacement happening on the jobs that I'm on. The jobs that remain that I'm on, or that I get booked on, are very much using AI art to whatever degree they can. It doesn't seem like there's any, like, pause of, like, hey, should we possibly not use AI art and instead hire artists to do this? And I wish the answer wasn't obvious, but yeah, it's dismal what's happening. So it's not even just a matter of time. They're actively trying to do the same thing with storyboard art. Now, storyboard art is different. There are ways to make it seem like you can replace storyboards with AI art. But that is a gross simplification of what we do. So I'm not too optimistic for them trying to figure that out. But that doesn't mean they won't try. And meanwhile, while they're trying, they're going to avoid hiring as long as they can. Trying basically to make us hold our breaths as long as we can to save a buck. It's really gross. And the discussion among my friends has been, well, maybe not so much friends, but colleagues. What can we do? And one thing that was being discussed is we've always been behind the scenes artists, you know, willing to sort of provide the solution, but take none of the credit to many of the problems that we solve. And what if we stopped staying so behind the scenes? What if we tried to be a little bit more worked on our own ability to present ourselves as, hey, this is who we are and what we do, kind of a thing. Storyboarding isn't always sexy. And what I'm even doing right here isn't really even storyboarding. This is kind of concepting, but they're like story concepts. Yeah. Storyboarding is, easiest way to look it up or to show you is to see if I can do this without... I'm getting used to streaming, and so every time I, like, pull up anything, like, it just... I gotta figure out a better way to, isolate the stuff on my... It's like, not like I'm doxing myself or anything like that, but stuff is not, I have to do a better job of making sure that the projects that I'm working on are not just listed as I'm, going through my Finder window. But let me pull up something old, and you'll see that yeah, I'm really not worried, but it is something to button up if I can. Let's see here. What would a good example be? All of these projects are disasters. It's tricky because we have to work closely with directors, but often directors don't know. To be fair, they're not given enough time to think about what they need to do. So then by the time it gets to us, the directors are sort of thinking on the fly with the decisions that they're trying to make as filmmakers. Okay, I'm pulling up some stuff that will look cool. Let's see if this looks good. Okay, so here's like here's a fun little sequence. Are you familiar with the game Apex Legends? So there's this scene in... Okay. A long time ago, I worked on some Apex stuff. So like here. This is from a much older trailer. But we've got Horizon here and Wattson, and then this is Octane. And we get to see like Wattson do this finishing move. So a big part of what I do is I take where the script and it says something very boring like Wattson does a finishing move on Octane while Horizon looks on. And so I try to think of compositions that are interesting, that tell the story, that do what the director needs them to do as well, which is either fit the tone of the spot or and also work within budget and timeline and stuff like that. So what you do, what you end up doing is you make sequences of images that are often roughly drawn, that when you play them all back and forth, it sort of creates a miniature animation. But also solves a problem. See, we needed to get from this scene where they are exploding Octane to a scene where they're celebrating something. So we've got Octane exploding, and then we use that to transition to fireworks exploding. And then there's Mirage doing his little song and dance routine. And so that's like a mini sequence that sort of proposes a solution to that problem. Right. Often storyboard artists can be among the first people that work on a project. So we kind of have to scout ahead and think about, like, a script can be very loosely indicating what is happening, but it hasn't been, like, thought through in any sort of a like, no one is critically thinking about the visuals that a script is creating until a storyboard artist looks at it and says, hey, this is a solution for this script. Here's another little sequence where, and this is an early one where Valkyrie was introduced. So we've got Gibraltar here, almost defeated in the foreground, and Valkyrie is showing up, and she delivers like a "now you're cooked" kind of cheesy line. Turns around, and then while Gibraltar is reaching for a gun, we think he might have the upper hand as she turns her back on him. And then as he's about to shoot, the retro rockets open up and she blasts him. And so that blast turns into Rampart, and she's blasting away from her gun. So we're finding not only the compositions, but how to stitch a story together. Thank you. So how to stitch a story together that is often very haphazardly written and hastily. It's not uncommon for us every day on a project to get like a new script, as if, and then all the work we do just gets thrown out the window. So none of that is as fun as it sounds. But it's cool to draw action stuff. Now that's part of what I do, the actiony stuff. And sometimes I just draw. Do you run into a situation where you can't find a solution to the script? Kind of, yeah. Sometimes scripts can be written. Sometimes scripts are not. They'll fix like one part of a script, but neglect to see that the content, that what they've the way they fix the script breaks the continuity of a later part in the script. And it's unfortunately that ends up to be on me as a storyboard artist or a director to sort of make a decision that sort of solves the problem that people didn't catch because it's just words on paper. Like, you can't run a script through a continuity checker. Like, there are people who proofread scripts, obviously, but they're checking for things like spelling and syntax, and that doesn't actually determine whether or not a script makes sense. And I'm not sure if any of that sort of makes sense just the way I've explained it, but but that's sort of it in a nutshell. We do a lot more, therefore, than simply produce pretty drawings. I want the stuff I draw to look cool and be easily readable, but the real hard work of storyboarding is the critical thinking. It's saying, well, how does this actually work? And even some professional storyboard artists are not good at that. So we're sort of fighting a lot of different battles. We recognize the need to like elevate ourselves, but also it's fun though. There's a lot of problem solving. It feels like fixing a puzzle. And it has to make sense. Like, obviously, like, a story has to make sense. So how can the story make sense? And you just figure it out. And there's lots of ways to tell a story and make it make sense. But Then there's sometimes there's a lot of egos to fight. Like a director might not like your solution for the thing. They might not like it because they didn't think of it, or whatever reason. So it's not. Sometimes it feels like babysitting a director's feelings. It can be tricky and frustrating. And for all the patience and good work that we do, they're trying to replace us with robots. So that's not fun. And that's why I'm trying something different here. Just I've been a good boy. I've always done things the right way. I'm still doing them the right way. It's not like I'm doing anything bad by doing this, but you know, talking a little bit more about what we do and trying to get that out there feels like it might be a good plan. Yeah. Yeah, I've even like on occasion asked like ChatGPT, like, do you think AI will replace storyboards? And they're like, no, not really. Which is nice to hear, because hey Luke. Yeah, I just don't, I'm not worried about actually being replaced. I think storyboarding represents like the final boss for AI to try and tackle, you know. But that doesn't mean that they might not try. And if they try, if they just keep trying at the rate that they're trying, like there may not be enough work. See, it doesn't matter if, one thing I realize, it's like, because I'm like, okay, I'm fairly entrenched in what I do. I work on cool projects. I'm like a go-to guy, storyboard artist, like to solve stuff. So I'm not worried about like my personal position. But the thing is, like, most of the people that do what I do don't do it as well as I do. And they actually might be replaced by AI because they're not necessarily thinking about things as critically as I am or drawing as well as I am. And I'm not really sure if, like, let's say AI replaced 50% of storyboard artists so that only the best 50% were left over. That alone isn't enough to make an industry of professionals. Like, it then becomes like this dying art that, like, there has to be a certain threshold where there's like a reproducing population of storyboard artists that are working and fostering an industry and passing skills along. And one thing I'm realizing is, like, and me and others have been like, is like, we've all been turtled up and lone wolfing our entire careers, not talking to each other and not talking to the public. And so now it is something where at the 11th hour, we're realizing it's like, for better or for worse, like it used to be, we would hoard our skills, not show our process, and felt like that made good business sense. And now it's clear that it not in the way that the game has changed. It's like, we have to get the word out. We have to make people understand what we do and why it's important, and hopefully that'll make a difference. I'm not sure if it will, but it might. Yeah. The amount of horrible, terrible overreach of these companies basically more or less seizing our data that we all put up in good faith, you know, and that's how artists tend to market themselves, is via these social networking platforms. And then to have it turn around and bite us in the ass like that is crazy. And I wasn't really a big one to like post my storyboards on, because I was very, I did the right thing, whereas I almost never shared this cool stuff that I worked on, even if it was cool and I wanted to, because it was supposed to be secret. Now I'm kind of glad I didn't, but it doesn't matter if I didn't, because everybody else did. So everybody, it's tricky. It's really tricky to know what to do. And I've thought about it a lot of ways, and I'm not going to, like, I do Glaze, for instance. There's this program called Glaze, which theoretically makes it harder to train on an artist's style. And when I post things now, I do glaze my work. But I don't know. I don't know what is the best course of action, other than I just don't feel like being quiet about it. If I can, I want to talk about how it bugs me and maybe share some skills, because this is, we're going to become an endangered species at a very alarming rate. It's the writing is kind of on the wall. I hope it is something that... I mean, I have some theories about... I really should be drawing, but I'll say some other stuff really quick. There's a limit to... like, the data that... I have a theory that most of the data that they could have trained AI on, they already have. And all this talk about, hey, Meta's going to start training stuff on your data, it's like, that already happened. That ship has sailed. This is them trying to sort of retroactively backdate their efforts a little bit. And at this point, if you delete your stuff from online, that's not going to matter in my theory, because I already had it and already did scan it. And the data is valuable to them. But the data that was useful, the prime low-hanging fruit data, it's already been incorporated. I'm not sure AI can actually get much better than it is right now. Perhaps it can, but not with the methods that they have. Because there are other factors at play, like compute and, the cost of, the return on investment for the best AI is going to be extremely prohibitive in terms of just granting access to your average user. So I don't trust those companies not to just do their own thing. Sorry to say. And I'm like a guy who stores stuff on Google Cloud, and I've made peace with the fact that I may have made a grave mistake by trusting any of this stuff. But ultimately, also though, there are other lessons, such as our egos are not necessarily self-serving either, and we should probably make peace with some of these eventualities. So I don't want to... what in a lot of my other artist colleagues are talking about, like, well, we need to get... we need legislative oversight to, punish people that are doing this stuff. And I'm like, while I agree with you, I cannot see waiting on Congress to do something good on behalf of artists. We'll be wiped out by the time that happens. It just, I wonder. I'm not going to put my faith in that happening. What I think is more likely, what would be a better solution, because that's like, what's the approach? To use a carrot or a stick? You're gonna beat people into your doing what you want, or are you going to entice them? And while others are advocating for sticks, I want to do the carrot. Like, come on, guys. If we're supposed to be better than these machines, like, let's get out there, really show them what we can do. Really show them that, that AI doesn't make compositions like this. Not bespoke compositions with this sort of angle, you know, with this acting. Kind of the stuff that I'm doing here, you can't get from ChatGPT. And then if it does figure out a way, I'll push it further and make it, you know, I'm always going to try and be ahead of that. And that's what this is about. Getting ahead of it and showing that humans can do it better than the machines can. We may not be faster or instantaneously, like, whatever, but here we foster, you know, the slow growth, the real thing. And, you know, this is a repudiation of the instant dopamine hit lifestyle that the social networks have trained our minds on. I'm catching up reading this chat. Thank you, Luke. Well, while I hope that, like, serious stopgaps are made so that, for instance, my children who have voiced interest in becoming professional artists themselves in the future can have, you know, a shot at that. Yeah, I still am just going to sort of assume that, because these companies have lawyers, and endless amounts of lawyers that will just do things forever to if they think they can make money off of stalling the courts, they'll do what they can. And bless the EU for having the foresight to do this sort of stuff. Also, I'm hoping that California, which tends to lead consumer rights protective legislation, I live in LA, for instance, I hope that makes a difference as well. But there's other factors as well, which is, like, right now Hollywood is in a major contraction, tech is in a major contraction. Right now, the amount of programs and video games and films, movies, TVs, and even commercials that are being produced right now are, like, you know, a low water point right now. It's affecting all of my friends, everybody in my city. I live in Studio City, California. This is home to, like, formerly CBS Studios, but you know, now they rent it out basically to YouTubers to film their little shows. It's funny. Oh, good. Yeah, definitely the USB. I saw my wife's new phone. We're an Apple family, I'm sorry to say. That goes way back because I used to be a Mac repairman. That was my first job. But you know, we're sort of in the Mac ecosystem for sure. But my wife's iPhone now has a USB-C charger, and I'm all for that stuff. Yeah. Fuck. You know, consumers have rights, man. Absolutely. Well, you know, here's hoping artists do too. I'm just, you know, before I go too far, I should say, listen, I appreciate everybody's support, and I don't mean to get up on a soapbox about stuff. I have anxiety about things, but I have hope as well. The stream is a big part of how I sort of deal with some of these unknowns. I'm passionate, but I'm too sober to, like, really start ranting. That's reserved for the for another stream, some sort of whiskey stream. This is why I switched to the early morning and daytime streaming, because I was drinking too much at night when I would stream and cause all sorts of bad habits. Lose control of myself. Well, it definitely doesn't make me any more professional or presentable. And that's the thing, is like, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to put, like, what are we doing? Are we trying to, like, build up the reputation of artists? Like, don't we already have bad reputations as it is? Like, we're temperamental and hard to work with and not on our best behavior. Like, what if we could reverse that trend and get back into... Can we do something that demonstrates best practices and reverse everybody's opinion that we need to... that we're better off without artists having their say? Yeah, I can't at this, like, if I'm going to... I can't be indignant about how artists can't be replaced when I don't put... If I'm not putting forth my best efforts and my best, you know, put my best foot forward, then I can't complain that about my station or the things that don't go my way. Who can say I gave it my all, you know? I want to be able to do this the right way. But it's a balance, you know, at the other end of the spectrum. It's, you know, I'm a human being. I can allow for that too, but like, I don't have to be perfect. But it doesn't take perfection to do a slightly better job of presenting ourselves. I want to make a case for artists broadly, and I can do that, I think, by attempting to show some consistency and resolve and bravery. Anyway, I'm sorry, you guys probably can't even see what I'm drawing because I'm drawing so small. But what I'm attempting to do here is introduce more interest in the foreground. Because things were just looking too even. Yeah, the background is sort of separated out a little bit. The problem with this project is that I don't have a deadline for it. So there's no ticking clock or gun to my head. I think usually I'm given unreasonable amounts of time to finish something where I'd be like, okay, well, no one could reasonably draw that in the amount of time you're giving me, but I'll do my best. And then I pull off a miracle and draw something amazing. In this case, I can take all the time I want, and what's happening is I'm taking all the time in the world to get this stuff done, just adding way too much detail. And messing around with details that maybe don't need to be messed with. These rough sketches that I'm doing right now just show some thinking of me reworking the composition a bit. Previously, I had drawn the sword over here, as you guys saw. But it was filling up too much of that space and it didn't need to. There's a sort of subtle indication where we've got these lines that are sort of pointing with a convergence to the fairy. And there's sort of this inverse sort of boxing in of the subject as well. This is not clear necessarily right now because of the way that the tones are presented. But the fairy is sort of the focal point in that she's like trying not to get caught by these bad guys. Hey. So everybody, Boxer is in. He's a moderator for me, and he's also my brother. IRL. Yeah, I had to do the double stream. Dude, I hope your flight was safe. My bro just got back from Seattle. Right? Seattle? We're Cali boys. Oh, fun. Well, it's a big family affair. Something could feel more substantial. Some overlap. The skulls, the bones, the dilapidated sword. Like we'll make it look like it's dripping with like cobwebs and stuff. This is the stuff that heightens that sense of danger. That's kind of what I'm hoping to make come across. I do feel like maybe something here as well. Hahaha. Yeah, some of these were like super early on in the stream. And I didn't necessarily have, you know, I don't even know if I might still not have a great aesthetic developed for the project, but I think I'm justified in double checking, making sure some of my earliest ideas were still good. Like, I like that look right here. Looking like some real concept art. And then sometimes the question is, like, do I need to clean that up? Is it really even... Like, it kind of just looks good the way it is. At least with the stuff I just added. Because it's in the foreground, right? So... I could just put a little blur on it. have a similar effect. It's like cinematic, you know? And another thing that it does is it sort of makes the viewer smaller. Good, thank you. Like, and you know, if nothing else, like, this stream is really good for me to, like, have people to bounce ideas off of. Because I don't have that anymore, if the whole work from home situation. It used to be like I'd be in a studio and like if someone would be walking by who'd be unrelated to what I was working on, they'd see like, oh, that looks amazing. I'd be like, okay, that means I'm doing a good job. You know, I miss that validation, so it's helpful for me to like get that take. And when things don't look good, I'm just like, I want to hear that too, but... Oh, you're gushing. Gush away. Oh, good. Yeah, the, So, social media is evil and reprehensible, but I am trying to, post stuff on the Instagram that's at the top. Don't join Instagram, but my updates will go there. And then I'm also, just because I don't know like what will happen with Twitch and stuff like that, I'm mirroring all the VODs onto YouTube as well. I just finished getting caught up with that too, so the archives are sort of backed up there in terms of like the whole process. So, but Luke is very cool to help spread my message of Zelda artness. And the Zelda stuff is more or less just a handy vehicle to you know, I don't have to faint like on any normal project, like the Apex, like earlier I was showing Vicky Apex stuff, and the Art of the Devil Dude is saved. Yeah, it's all saved. It's in the VODs. You can go to the YouTube. You'll see it there. Yeah, all this stuff is good. Oshimia, welcome. Hello. So yeah, the previous those Redditors, and I'll do more of those Redditors too. That was fun. Little bit too easy, but but a fun little exercise. Yeah, let me try something because this could look cool. Yeah. Luke, was it you that did the you did the screen capture basically to you saved the stream. That's all there. It was all there. You were there. I might just try messing around with this. No. I'll get too ahead of myself. Pace myself. Bits of grime and crap. But I was thinking, like, I definitely need to have more of, like, those clay pots that are in Zelda. It's like, Definitely need more of those represented. Okay, so that scene looks cool. Let's see if there's any backgrounds in this one I can touch up. And I really appreciate everybody. The skeletons are right here. These are the skeletons. This is not a Kraken per se. This is an Octorok. But I've redesigned it a little bit. But yeah, it's like a land octopus. We can work on this one. Uh-huh. Yeah, the question about this scene is, I'm not sure how... I'm gonna, I think, just keep him... As far as the Octorok, I'll keep him slightly, probably close to, like... Elephant... No, not elephant, what's the Oliphant, the Peter Jackson-y elephants from The Lord of the Rings. Like, that scale. Like, this is like an unusually large Octorok. You can see it better. Let me double check my... Make sure my wife isn't texting me constantly. Okay. Yeah, so far so good. Okay. Yeah, there's gonna be... Here in this scene, there's obviously like a lot of movement. And there's gonna be a bit of a balance between... How do I draw? Obviously, a tree has a lot of detail, but these trees are... Yeah, the horse is looking pretty good still. Anyway, I'm gonna add some... trees, and I'm kind of making them... These aren't like the puffy cloud trees that are in a lot of the Zelda games. I feel like the puffy cloud trees are too... They're unfortunately a little too round and puff, like the round and puffy trees against a round and puffy octopus. There won't be enough visual contrast in the textures to separate the two. So, and since we all know that pine trees are super tall, or can be at least, that'll help reinforce the scale. But these trees have a lot of detail and they're falling over as they're being smushed. So it's almost like I'm drawing the energy, not the tree themselves. Am, how are you? And then another great way to get scale. Obviously, anytime like a tree gets knocked over, birds go flying. I'm sleepy too. I got up at 3:30 a.m. to do an early stream. So the only way I can do anything is to do it before my wife and kids get up. That is early, yeah. Yep. And it preempts any attempts of mine to stay up and be naughty. Demerits. Huh. I feel like I learned what demerits are, like... have you ever gotten a demerit? Like, is that something you get through work? I've never had a demerit, like, in high school, or a job, or Boy Scouts. I feel like that was, like, one of those threats that you would read about on, or see on television. You'd be like, oh, demerits. ROTC and dance activities. Okay, so it would be like you're disciplining like youth sports basically. Oh god. Okay. Maybe that's why I'm so like hopeless. Like I'm 41. I'm just now getting in the good habit of like making my bed in the morning and stuff like that. A lot of and that's only because it's like I'm trying to get my children to do the same thing, and I'm realizing it's like, okay, I have to actually do this myself if I expect them to do it. But I could have used some demerits back in the day. That might have helped young Maxie get on the straight and narrow. And we can see that right now we're sort of controlling the composition with line. But before long, we'll be using tone. My strategy right now is to attempt, if I can, to avoid using tone until my lines are done. It doesn't have to be this way. Obviously, I've certainly in some of the rougher sketches I've done, they practically look finished as they are, but I'm trying to have a higher fidelity on this project than I would normally do. So this is me attempting to not skip any steps, and See what happens for once if I'm not rushed. Oops. Man, dance class sounds rough. I could barely remember to take my art materials to art class. This will just be a... I mean, hopefully this is reading. I know that a lot of this is like a lot of... like it's not simplified, but there's a lot going on, which is, I think, justifiable in the complexity. So let's see what else happens in the background. I can pull up the original sketch and see what the intent was. Okay. This was the original rough sketch. And you can get a sense of the scale here where I was actually thinking that maybe the Octorok was like destroying a village. Like this could be like a tower, some sort of fortification. These would be other little citizens running away. There's probably some merit to that still, but I think this is pretty direct and cool. Yeah, so this is the look that we'll get in terms of the values later. So this is the sun in the background. I'll get a fun lens flare, glint off Link's sword. But it looks like the... It looks like I didn't have too much originally intended for the background as far as like actually seeing what's there. So I think if I get like a really loose, because we'll have this like a nice dramatic sky, like a dark sky with intense sun sort of setting right behind the Octorok. Crushed forest. Okay. Make another layer. And I want to get these overlaps happening. Like, I like that composition originally. I want to see that preserved if I can. There might be something like that. Whatever kind of mountain range I draw here in the distance is going to get blown out, like obliterated by the brightness of the sun with this lens flare effect. But it's still, I think, sensible to indicate that something's there. Maybe even taller. Could make it look like there's, you know how sometimes there's clouds in between valleys and mountains? That could even look like smoke from earlier destruction from the same Octorok. Here, let's get something that feels like texture of a forest at a distance. And I'm squinting just to get the it's like I'm not drawing a it's like an impressionistic thing. I'm not trying to draw a tree with a bunch of leaves and branches. Drawing the energy instead of the forest. Contextual clues of everything else that is happening in the drawing will let the viewer see the forest in their imagination. And of course, I'll throw in a bunch of speed lines. Speed lines on everything, like a exclamation point. This top row is looking pretty good. Let's see about these. Maybe I can quickly indicate. So what's happening right now is my wife is going to pick up my kids from school any second now, because it's nearly summer vacation, so they're going to be home early. And I'll have to stop, but that is okay. Let's see here. Later, Oshimia. Yeah. Sword is not my fave. I'm hoping I can why is it bothering me so much? It may be this dimension. Boxer, I don't know if you are still monitoring. Do we have a Discord link? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? Because I could put that up so that people could see it. Not that it's not a critical function of the experience or anything like that, but I'm trying to be a little bit more thorough with stuff like that. And another thing I'll be doing is I'm going to update my website soon so that my latest efforts are A little bit more noticeable for people who look me up. Yeah, that isn't looking good. Did I make any commands? What do you mean, like, I command you to go to my Discord? I'm like newbie noob. There's been no opportunity for me to like actually research what's going on or what I should be doing. So if there's something I should be doing, like, rest assured I haven't done it. You can make a chat command, for example, that is, oh. And then you can, we'll post the link here. Oh, that's neat. Come on, Boxer. Maybe he already did it. Let's just see what happens. Discord. Maybe that'll happen. Nope. It did not do my command. My bidding. All right. Any I'm not one to refuse help that I need. Okay, here. Let's see here. Is this the link? Will this go to my thing? Oh, good. Okay, it is. I accept this invite. However, I'm already a member, aren't I? I wonder if I'm logged in. Yeah, this is me. See, I'm not even good about announcing my... Yeah, this is me, obviously. So this is it. Okay, well, if anybody cares, there's the Discord link. So is that the invite link? Okay, good. Don't hack me. I'm innocent. So this scene is one that we're going to have very little indicating what's going on. It might just be a bit of liminal space in the background. Something that feels structural, but maybe like never-ending and precarious. Like there could be a tall doorway on a wall that just leads to a death drop. Or something. Something that like... Yeah. Or like a really tall bridge. Ooh, you know what we need? A staircase. I was gonna do this somewhere. Where was I doing that? It was in a different drawing, but I think here is a good place for like... What if we had like a chest with a key? Like a keyhole. pretty much all of these are inspired by Zelda dungeons that are pre-existing, but only in a general sense. Like, this isn't a specific Zelda dungeon, and of course, I'm mixing and matching enemies that don't necessarily... We're a little bit series agnostic here, so... treating it as though we have carte blanche to do anything we want with Zelda or Link, or any of the characters can become friend or foe. Even if the space is trippy, though, we need to have... It needs to sort of make sense. Here. Maybe something that feels like a banister. Maybe a kind of fun little fire pit. It's common enough in a Zelda game. There could be a little bit of a wall indicated, and it could have a crack in it. A well-drawn crack. Is there any, only because I'm going to have to stop soon, is there any, not, any nominations for someone I could raid out to? I don't know who is, I need to get better about monitoring other active streams. I don't know. Well, I don't want to be unkind to the chain of cool people that are out there who are deserving. I'm just not as tapped in. I wish. It's feeling fairly cool, except I don't like the crack anymore, so I'm gonna erase that. Ooh, I know what I'm gonna do. I guess we can still have the fire. But we could also have what feels like, because this is something I'm indicating up here, is that there's like, there are some eyes in the darkness. So maybe it's almost like a water tunnel. So down here, we could have what feels like a bit of water dripping down. That's a good theme in Zelda games. Sort of water. The water could catch the light, do interesting things. Sort of pooling up over here, making a little fountain. Makes it almost like a little shrine. That's really cool. Cool. Well, since I'm in charge and I don't have any ideas, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go until I hear the door open, and then I'm going to abruptly end the stream. So. Otherwise, it's distracting. This will look cool. I think what I'll do to finish off is I'll fill in some of these bats, because they really need to get that. My favorite Zelda game? This came up the other day. I think Link to the Past. Very much a game that really sticks out. That's certainly the first one I played, me and my brother, for instance. I was about 11 years old when... Yeah, 11 years old when A Link to the Past came out. Amazing game. And then the most obvious successor to that is Link's Awakening, which is a lot of fun, sort of in the same vein. Zelda is culture. It definitely is. And probably more to do with the fact that I'm a parent of young children, but it's difficult these days to have time for playing video games. But I think eventually I'll catch up to Breath of the Wild and etc. The last one that I played was Twilight Princess, and I really did enjoy that. I think. I don't remember it very well. It's during a very foggy time in my life. But I remember that I beat it. I just don't remember much else. Yeah. And that's how I know, like, I don't remember it very well, because I don't remember any of the Wolf Link stuff. Like, what? How did... Why is that not the impression it should have left in my brain? Because it's not a game you, like, beat in a day. It takes forever, you know? Wolf Link is something I should... I don't know, maybe I should draw that. There's so much good Zelda stuff. Right now, these are just the bats, but the keys. But I more or less drew them as normal bats. I don't know if there's specific cool ways that other people like to draw them, but... Yeah, I definitely played way more Link to the Past than anything else. I could probably sit down, beat and play the game and beat it if I gave myself like enough time, run up to it, just get it done. The cartoon didn't exist. The cartoon did exist. We are not cartoon agnostic here. The cartoon is God. No, but we do acknowledge the controversy. Mitzi, my father was a writer on the Zelda cartoon, so in a roundabout way, you've tread into dangerous territory. Now what do you have to say? Take it all back. You love Zelda cartoons. Ooh, ouch. Burn. I'm self-owning myself here. Yeah, well, I'm not an apologist for the Zelda cartoons. They are a product of their times, not anything else. I acknowledge the some of the atrociousness. Excuse me, princess. I think you can lay all of that squarely at the feet of my father. I think that was all him. But if you were a product of the 80s, as I was, you'll recall that every character had to have their own catchphrase. So much like Ninja Turtle saying, "Let's kick shell," you know, that they had to say stuff like that. Yeah, there you go. Love it or hate it, you got it. Yeah, we're not trying to remake the cartoon or anything here. This is, if anything, atone for some sins. Yep, and that was you know, I'm not sure if there were many good examples of how to adapt video games into cartoons at that time. There may have been zero, and for better or for worse, my father was at the epicenter of all that happening. Oh, I can tell my family's home. Guys, I am going to call it a stream, so I really appreciate everybody checking it out. And smear frames. Yes, well, it's topic for another stream, but I actually went to animation school, so I know a bit of what you're talking about. Hey, everybody. I really appreciate the support. Everybody follow Boxer, and he's the cool one. And then if you're bored later on, check out my stream. Oh, guys, I gotta go. Love you. Bye.